This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is the After Party Live on Thursday, and it is a big day. We've got Live at 5 with Nikki Maduro coming up this evening. We have Trivia Thursday right now on the After Party Live, and then we have the Mark Thompson Show meetup. So it's a big day, a lot going on today. Thank you for spending time and being here. I also have an exciting announcement. The subscribership for the After Party Live is at 2,271. So creeping right up there. We're nearing 2,300. Thank you to everyone for subscribing and for sharing the show and for supporting it as well. I'm really grateful to everyone, including Wes, who once again steps up with a $5 super sticker. Thank you, thank you. Julie with a $5 super sticker as well. Thank you very much. I'm loving your Facebook pictures. You have the prettiest family, Julie. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the $5 super sticker. That's the way the show survives. It's crowdfunded, and this is how it continues. So if you're interested in a super chat or super sticker, that is available on YouTube, but the bread and butter of the show is the PayPal contributions, and you can find all of that information in the show description. All right, it's Trivia Thursday, so I want to get to some of these stories so we can make sure to squeeze everything in today. The first story I have lined up for you is about this building. You recognize that? That is this famous structure at Los Angeles International Airport. It's called one of the most iconic images. And it turns out, according to SF Gate, it is a rotting building without a future. It's kind of indicative of a future that never really arrived. It's at LAX, which is the 5th busiest airport in the world. But this structure here is very well known. It is the theme building. It is located directly in the center of the airport. So at the bottom, cars are circling the legs, which are being called spider-like. It's a towering parabolic arch, an exterior sunshade, which they call striking. The whole building emblematic of the jet age design from the 60s, which is part of this vision for a futuristic kind of world that didn't really materialize. It was once home to an elevated restaurant. It was home to an observation deck. Both have since closed. And now the future of this structure is really in limbo. So it's kind of a bummer. It's bound up, this theme building's existence, with the initial idea of LAX. So it's really not just an interesting building, but it's more about, what the airport was supposed to be in its very beginning. And now we don't know if it's even going to stay. So, yeah. What's interesting, one of the architects involved in the design of this theme building, his name was William Pereira. And he'd conceived this as the central structure as the airport's control tower. But what's interesting is that he also designed the Transamerica Pyramid in San Francisco. The building ended up becoming more of an attraction than a functional airport building for a control tower. So, yeah, it's kind of sad. It's 340 feet in diameter. It's got high-speed elevators that were supposed to zip passengers 70 feet above the parking lot up to the deluxe restaurant. Meh. And now look at it. In disrepair. Bad scene. Yeah. Another place that's going bye-bye. Golden Gate Fields Racetrack in San Francisco. That's it. Everything must go. They're having a big old auction. This is an 85-year-old racetrack, right as you can see on the San Francisco Bay, at almost at the foot of the Bay Bridge, on the way to the Bay Bridge in Albany. They have 2,600 lots spanning every aspect of the racetrack operation going up for auction, from flat screen TVs to patio furniture to hot dog warmers, pieces of memorabilia. They even have the one of the gazebos, the lawn gazebo. That's up for auction too. They had a last race on June 9th. This is going to be a 3-day auction. It'll be online only, following a preview and inspection day on September 9th. So everything but the land is up. Kitchen, cleaning supplies, artwork, specialized horse equipment. One lot at a time, off it goes. So the first day, which is September 10th of the online auction, will be mostly televisions, glassware, bar equipment, office furniture. Day 2, concession stand equipment, refrigeration units, outdoor items. And then the third day is when the most unique things are supposed to come, this according to SF Gate. This is where you'll have the chance to get your hands on collectibles, vintage trunks filled with horse blankets, painted murals, a framed photo of former President Barack Obama and the former mayor of Richmond, Nathaniel Bates, the remaining TVs and electronics. No minimums, no reserves, so they expect it to all go. What do you think about that? Are you melancholy about the closing of Golden Gate Fields racetrack? I mean, there's been a lot of stories in the last few years about racehorses that have died. You know, that putting a question mark on whether horse races are humane and whether the animals are being treated right, what happens to them. So I have mixed feelings, but this has also been kind of a mainstay of the Bay Area. So to see it close is a little sad, but I'm not too broken up over it because of the health of the horses. What do you think? What are your thoughts? I'm going to the chat. Mo says, it's a great idea. Just make sure it becomes a state park. That might be interesting to turn it into, what, a museum? A horse racing museum? Or just a park with green fields and places to sit and on the grass and lay out a blanket? I don't know. Wes says, I think it's horse abuse. Yeah, that's why I'm not so sad it's closing. I mean, you a lot of us have driven past this thing, used it as a landmark when we're reporting things. A lot of us have. I have. So it's, it's part of the Bay Area. But again, because of what you're saying, Wes, I'm not too broken up about it. Yeah. Gordon too, not humane, he says. Deidre says this is built on landfill. Yikes. Karen says they race the horses when they're too young. Walter used to play the ponies at Golden Gate Fields and Bay Meadows. William says, I thought horses died in Santa Anita. There have been this rash of deaths of racehorses all over the place. And we're constantly reporting from San Diego to Santa Anita to Golden Gate Fields. It's not particular to one racetrack. Luis says it probably best. It's almost like American bullfighting. Time to go. Yeah. They agree with you, Mo. Gordon says a park would actually be nice here. So there. B.A. Ware says, would it be too on the nose to make it a new glue factory? Yikes. Deidre says, because of the landfill proximity to the water, they'll be limited to what they can actually do with the land here. Yeah. Teacher Lori, not a fan of the horse racing. She says, stop all animal exploitation like racing. Can't they use it for a school track meets or something to connect to education? Might not be a bad idea. Maybe they don't need it. It's very close to, I think, Berkeley. So maybe there's a lot of venues already that can be used, but it's not a bad thought. I don't know. Mo learned to drive in that parking lot. Deidre says the strip of land to the right is the Albany Bulb, an old dump. The land to the left is the old Berkeley dump. Well, sayonara. It's all being auctioned off, and soon this will look different. We'll see. Will it be condos? Will it be a park? I don't know. All right, back into it. How about this? I thought these were rare, but it seems like over and over again they keep spotting them. Supposed to be 1 in 30 million. But now we've got another supposedly ultra rare orange lobster being returned to the ocean after ending up at a New York supermarket. This one arrived at a store in Long Island in early June. It was later named Clementine. And Clementine immediately stood out amongst the brownish red lobsters. They say this is 1 in 30 million where a lobster is naturally orange like this. So Clementine became a bit of an attraction in the seafood section. According to the Humane Long Island, which is an advocacy group, Humane Long Island, they call it. So the store's owner reached out to an aquarium to take Clementine in, but they declined the offer. Then the Southampton Animal Shelter stepped in, and they wanted to make sure that Clementine was safely released. So working with the store, the animal advocacy group called Humane Long Island got Clementine back into the sea this week. On Tuesday, they plopped her right back into the water. They said they got themselves a big saltwater tank to rehab her in, brought her down to the ocean, and she immediately started foraging. Within hours, Clementine was swimming, foraging, and exploring the Long Island Sound, playfully following them around before disappearing into the ocean depths, where she'll travel as far as 100 miles or more every single year. They want her, they say, to live freely. They don't want her to boil in someone's pot or stay cramped in an aquarium, so off she goes into the world. Sayonara, Clementine. Have a good life. They're having a lot of fun with the La Tomatina 2024. This is a massive food fight. And I mean massive. It is in Buñol. The origins of this food fight can be traced back to a spontaneous food fight among the local kids in 1945. And they are flinging these tomatoes all over the place in Buñol, Spain. Now they do it every year. Since 1945, it's the annual La Tomatina street shutdown. And the media comes and the tomatoes fly, and it's just this messy, sloppy, I mean, everybody's red. The streets are red with tomato soup after being squished. It's quite a festival, you know? You can see all the people involved here. Here's some other pictures. Aw, look, some lovers. Isn't that nice? Yep. See how soupy and gross it gets on the bottom? I mean, that's a food fight right there. I'm sad that I've never actually done this. But yeah, it's just messy and dirty, and so many people participate. Here's another shot. Look at the tomatoes flying there. Pretty good. I think we might want to put this on our bucket list, you guys. I don't know about you. I think yes. The pictures from this are amazing. They have people laying down in the sauce after being thrown and squished. And then after the whole thing, the cleanup fiesta begins. And they've got cleanup people with hoses and brooms and vacuums trying to suck all the tomatoes up off the street. This has been going so long. They're getting pretty good at it. But that's it. It was 22,000 people flinging tomatoes at each other in Buñol, Spain. La Tomatina 2024. Yeah. So there's that picture. I think that's pretty good. I like it's an action shot with the tomatoes midair. But look, 22,000 people. And still they had time for some love in the tomato sauce. That's nice. Just breathe. Just breathe. Look what they found. in the ocean off the coast of Sicily, they found an old battering ram. It is about 2,300 years old. And they found it, or they think it's from, a Roman warship. Again, discovered off the coast of Sicily. And historians think they know exactly where this thing came from and what it was used for. In 241 BCE, one of the most decisive battles happened in an ancient Mediterranean history off the coast of Sicily. It happened as the emerging Roman Empire defeated its fierce rival, Carthage, during the Battle of the Agates. They'd spent the last 20 years searching the seafloor in search of the sunken traces of this epic confrontation. And now researchers have uncovered this bronze battering ram that would have been used by the Roman Navy to destroy enemy ships. The superintendents of the sea of the Sicilian region explained the relic was found at a depth of about 262 feet below, in the stretch of sea between the islands of Levanzo and Favignana, which lie off the west coast of Sicily. The Roman maritime weapon, then recovered using sophisticated instruments on board the research vessel Hercules. Here's another shot of it a little closer up. You can see it. It's the kind of the bronze shining through there, through the mussels and the goop from the bottom of the sea. So now, archaeologists are conducting an in-depth analysis of this ancient weapon. It has a decorative relief depicting Roman military helmets on the front, but because of the large amount of sea life covering its surface, it hasn't been possible to identify any inscriptions yet. So they're still looking for words and other interesting things. But they think that these battering rams like this were deadly weapons of destruction, and when they were applied to the bow of warships, allowed enemy ships to be rammed and subsequently sunk. Over the last 20 years or so, 27 similar rostrums have been found in the same stretch of water, along with 30 Roman helmets and 2 swords. Just 2. The Battle of Agates marked the end of the first of the Punic Wars, fought between the Romans and the Carthaginians, or the Carthaginians, between 264 and 146 BC. The Carthaginians had been the dominant force in the Western Mediterranean for thousands of years before these conflicts started. And then Rome's influence began to spread across what is now Italy, and there was unrest. So the Roman victory in the Battle of the Agates was fought on and around the islands to the west of Sicily, a major blow to Carthage, which then never managed to regain its upper hand and then was dismantled following the Third Punic War, allowing Rome to emerge as the major force in this region. And there it is, 2,300 years later, pulled from the sea. How interesting is that? Am I the only one? I'm going to the chat. What do you think? I know what they'll find. Made in China. Yeah. Wes says, if it was at the bottom, the other guys had a better one. Yeah. I love old history. I guess history is old, sort of. Donald says I love old history. Yeah. Good. I'm glad I'm not alone, B.A. Ware. Jim says, every time I hear BC, I wonder if those people knew their year was a countdown to someone being born in the future as year 0. So cool, though. Look at that picture. I mean, wow. Wow. Do you do this? I do this. I'm guilty of this. I'll kind of skip, or not skip, but skimp on sleeping. Sometimes I know, like maybe I'll only get 6 hours or 5, but on the weekend, then I'll sleep for like 9 or 10. And I mean, I'll really just sleep. And it feels like I'm making up for all the sleep that I lost during the week. And I wake up feeling wonderful. It turns out, according to a new study, catch-up sleep on the weekends might be beneficial to your heart. Hey, look at that. Doing something right without even knowing about it. Weekend catch-up sleep can lower a person's risk of heart disease by up to 20%, according to findings presented Thursday at the European Society of Cardiology's annual meeting in London. It shows you how important sleep is. Sufficient compensatory sleep is linked to a lower risk of heart disease, according to researchers with Fuai Hospital in Beijing. The association becomes even more pronounced among individuals who regularly experience inadequate sleep on weekdays. In this study, they looked at 91,000 participants of the long-range UK Biobank research project, where the participants wore sleep monitors and had their heart health tracked. About 22% of participants were sleep deprived, getting less than 7 hours of sleep per night. The sleep tracking showed which of the participants were sleeping in on the weekends to make up for their lack of sleep during the week. After an average of 14 years of follow-up, those participants who got the most catch-up sleep on the weekends were 19% less likely to develop heart disease than those who got the least. And that held true especially among those with daily sleep deprivation, with those getting the most catch-up sleep experiencing a 20% lower risk of heart disease. So, this still needs to be considered preliminary until it's in a peer-reviewed journal. It's being presented at a conference, but hasn't been published yet. So, I think this is kind of cool because I love the catch-up sleep. Now you don't have to feel guilty for sleeping in on the weekends anymore. Just say it's for your heart health. Leave mom alone, right? This is a novel concept. How about naked museuming? Why not? Makes things a little more interesting at the Naked Museum. There's a museum in France. Of course, it's in France. They're inviting naturism exhibit visitors to disrobe, take it all off, except your shoes. You have to keep your shoes on. Nothing but a pair of shoes. This is in Marseille, the Museum of European and Mediterranean Civilizations, or MUSEM. They're saying nude patrons are being welcomed to peruse the Naturist Paradises exhibit on designated dates once a month. You can come on into the museum and take all your clothes off. It's during a time that the facility would normally be closed. That's when they welcome you with no clothes. It's being organized in partnership with the French Naturist Federation. The Naturist Paradises features hundreds of pieces of art from naturist communities. There are paintings, sculptures, photographs, films, and they say it was only natural for the MUSEM, a social museum based in Marseille, to explore this unifying social phenomenon that is naturism, or rather naturisms, because there are different types. Who knew? So again, all the naked visitors will still, sorry, I shouldn't say naked, all the nude visitors will still be required to wear shoes to avoid getting splinters. I don't know, maybe they have some rough wood floors, I don't know. The Naturist Paradises exhibit runs through December 9th. The next time the nudie night happens is September 3rd, in case you wanted to, book your flight and go frolic in the museum naked nudie. There are knots in our DNA. Did you know this? They've just been mapped. All the knots. There are 50,000 of them. 50,000 knots in DNA. It's been 6 years since these shapes were confirmed to exist, and now it looks like they could be very important. This comes from IFL Science. Love science.com. The locations of these knot-like structures in the human genome have now been mapped for the very first time. They're known as eye motifs. These odd shapes reported to exist in 1993, but initially scientists were looking at them as suspicious. The discovery, though, of how frequent they are and their locations suggest they actually play an important role in our health, but that they can also lead to disease. The double helix structure of DNA is pretty well known. In the 1990s, geneticists started to suspect it's sometimes interrupted by these secondary structures they call I motifs, which the existence outside the lab wasn't confirmed until 2018. So instead of 4 bases from which DNA is constructed linking to each other like normal looking hookups, this result is a brief section that sticks out of the double helix as a 4-stranded structure. So, I motifs first discovered in the lab under test tube conditions. These conditions were somewhat different than those observed inside cells, and that had initially raised questions as to whether I motifs existed in cells. But once they generated a specific antibody for the I motif structure, they were able to demonstrate that, yes, they do exist in human cells. Around 25,000 I motifs have been found in rice by one team. So it's definitely something that's across very different organisms. For this particular study, scientists mapped more than 50,000 I motif sites in the human genome that occur in all 3 of the cell types they examined, which is a pretty high number for a DNA structure whose existence was once considered controversial. They think the findings are confirming that I motifs are not just laboratory curiosities, but that they're actually pretty widespread, and because of that, they're likely to play key roles in genomic function. They're going to take a long time to resolve all that, but they mapped them, and now we know a little bit more about them. Who knew? We had I motifs. I guess you knew if you were a scientist. They had a problem on the roadway in Santa Maria. They had a truck carrying red peppers spill and overturn. Made a holy mess. Turned the highway into a slushy red pepper goo. Not as bad as La Tomatina 2024, but, not so good either. This happened in Santa Maria on the central coast of California. The CHP said this semi-truck pulling a flatbed trailer overturned on Highway 101 yesterday and spilled its load of red peppers across the lanes of traffic. But that's not where it ends. Crews working to remove the wreckage and clean up all the crushed red peppers discovered a sign pole that had been hit in the process of this crash, and it was damaged by the truck that contained thousands of bees, and their hive on the sign was now exposed to the elements. So they had to call Robert Diaz from Swarm Catchers out, and he had to use a special vacuum to suck up the bees and safely gather them for relocation. The CHP in Santa Maria said, talk about a sweet rescue. Thanks for making sure things don't get too sticky out there. So the cleanup was going on of the red bell peppers or the red peppers in the road, and then it was going on in the beehive on the sign. It's quite a mess. Keep your windows closed driving down 101 in Santa Maria for a while. Have you ever thought to yourself, which Vikings are the most violent? No? Well, let's talk about it. I don't know if have you watched the Viking shows? The Last Kingdom, all these kinds of shows. Vikings. Scientists apparently have, and they're interested in it too. And so they went to the skeletons and they looked at them to find out which Vikings were the most brutal, were the most violent. Murder and bloodthirst, apparently not the norm across all of Scandinavia. So scientists, this is the kind of scientific research I can get behind. They compared the levels of violence evidenced by Viking-aged skeletons in Norway and Denmark. And the authors of this study found interpersonal attacks were far more common in the northern realm, while the Danes generally left the use of force to the authorities. Among the Danish skeletons, Only 7% showed signs of having died as a result of a physical trauma, with almost all of those being beheaded during official executions. In contrast, over in the Norwegian skeleton section, they had some serious head injuries, indicating participation in non fatal violent confrontations. 37% of the skeletons in Norway showed evidence of lethal trauma. The majority of the Danish killings looked like they were authorized by the state. The Norwegian slayings looked like they were of a very different character, with all of the victims having been assaulted with bladed or pointed weapons. And the violence didn't appear to have been reserved for the Norwegian men, hinting at a level of gender equality in terms of social status. Similarities in trauma etiology between Norwegian women and men, they think, may be indicative of women being a real threat to the perpetrators. They were treated as brutally as any other enemy, telling of their influence on the political and social arena of the time. The researchers analyzed the prevalence of swords and other weapons in Viking Age graves. Overall, much more common in Norway. 1 sword per 33 square kilometers, about 12.8 miles. In the Rogaland region in the southwest of Norway. Across Denmark, 1 Viking sword was found per 211 square miles of territory. So, unlike Norway, the Danish Vikings don't appear to have been heavily armed, indicating they had more of a relaxed lifestyle, relatively. So, they say one explanation for this can be found on rune stones from the 2 regions, with ancient inscriptions in Denmark hinting at a more stratified society than in Norway. Denmark had considerably more Viking Age fortresses than Norway, indicating that there was a greater centralization of power. So, could be that. One of the areas, the highest concentration of Danish monuments are in, dates to the latter part of the 10th century, and that's when Harold Bluetooth was ruling. And it stands out, they say, as exceptional in terms of the sheer volume of earthworks, indicating that he was able to kind of command these massive extent of resources in this area. So under the rule of a powerful king, people were more apparently willing to allow authorities to settle disputes, regulating the use of violence against offenders, whereas over in Norway seems to have been more of a wild, wild west kind of situation with people taking matters into their own hands. And it's all laid out for us in the human remains of the Vikings of those ages. They found something else. They thought that maybe it was a bird feather encased in amber. Turns out, no. It's actually a dinosaur tail encased in amber. They thought maybe it was a plant at first, too. Could have been a plant. It was set to become jewelry. And then researchers realized, dude, that's a dinosaur tail. That's what they said, just like that. They say they thought maybe it was some kind of feathery flower, but they realized it had actually belonged to the juvenile theropod. The mistaken identity started back in 2015 when a woman stumbled on this hunk of amber being sold at a market in Myanmar. As she thought it contained plant material, it's a 99-million-year-old fossil. It was already polished up, and it was ready to be sold as a trinket, until she noticed something was amiss. And she suggested that the Dexu Institute of Paleontology purchase it. They did, and upon closer inspection, it became apparent that inside the amber, not a plant, but the feathered tail of a young Coelurosaur, the clade containing all theropod dinosaurs more closely related to birds than to carnosaurs, which include the velociraptor and the Tyrannosaurus. So, this woman, the scientist, her name is Lida Jing, trace the amber back to its place of origin, Kachin State, Myanmar, by tracking down the miner who originally dug it out. They use CT scanning and microscopic observations to peer inside the amber and study what was trapped inside. The new material preserves a tail consisting of 8 vertebrae from a juvenile, those surrounded by feathers that are preserved in 3D and in microscopic detail. They say they can be sure because the vertebrae are not fused into a rod like modern birds would have. Instead, this tail is long and flexible, with keels of feathers running down each side. In other words, they say they can be sure these are dino feathers and not those from a bird. Here's how this animal would have looked. Look at its tail. And that's what they think. If you look at that tail, kind of fuzzy on the end and thick, that's what they think you're seeing inside of that amber. How cool is that? And they were ready to make a necklace out of it and sell it off as a trinket. Come on. Since this has happened, they've come within a whisker of finding more Mesozoic monsters trapped in amber. They've had some cases of mistaken identity, but this is a pretty cool one. They took a closer look at this tail stump, and it revealed the soft tissue layer was around the bones, retaining traces of ferrous iron, which is a relic left over from the hemoglobin found in blood, also in this sample. So, they think it could have been possible that this dinosaur was trapped in the amber while it was still alive and that it died as a result of that. But it's amazing, they say, to see all the details of a dinosaur tail, the bones, the flesh, the skin, the feathers, and to imagine how this little fellow got stuck in the resin and then maybe died because he couldn't wrestle free of it. So, pretty fascinating. Again, check it out. It's a wow. All right, lastly, have you heard of this creature? Maybe I should wait on this. I'll give you a teaser. It's the god of farts, and we'll do that story on tomorrow on Friday, because now I've been talking yip-yapping for so long that I'm gonna skimp out on you for Trivia Thursday, and I can't have that. Oh no. Are you guys ready for it? I wish I could hear you talking back to me. Cool jewelry, says Teacher Lori. Yeah. All right, here we go. We're doing it. Get ready for Trivia Thursday. Get your thinking cap on. The first topic is going to be magazines. Since the mid-1960s, what has been the most circulated weekly magazine? Since the 1960s, what has been the most circulated weekly magazine? What do you think? This is a surprise to me. Maybe not anymore, but since the 1960s, yeah. I would have guessed this too. I would have guessed Time. Absolutely. But Deidre gets it right. TV Guide. Can you believe that? Yeah, it's TV Guide. Wow. I don't know who else had it. John had it. TV Guide. Yeah. Josh got it. TV Guide. Yeah. TV Guide. Not anymore. Do people still read TV Guide? 19% of adult males in America read this periodical every week. 19% of adult males in America read this every single week. It's a periodical. What do you think? You got it. It is Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated. Playboy was a good guess, Wes. They got to give you credit for that. I'll give you partial credit. It's actually Sports Illustrated. Yeah. Deidre said Playboy too. So did Trevor. Mama got it. It's Sports Illustrated. Good guess. Good guess. But no, it's not Jugs. All right, next one. Bearing a four-word title, what is America's top-selling household magazine? And again, this book of trivia was published in 2007. So think back a little bit. I should get a more current book, shouldn't I? I love this one, though. Four-word title was America's top-selling household magazine. We'll see if it still is. Uncle Jim has it. Better Homes and Gardens. That's exactly right. Oh, Trevor had it too. Trevor had it first. Better Homes and Gardens is correct. You're going a little too smart, viewfinders. Better Homes and we want to see pretty pictures of houses and flowers. Wes has it as well. Ren has it. Okay, next one. Known for its seal of approval on consumer products, what is the second best-selling household magazine? Second best, seal of approval. It's Good Housekeeping. It has the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's right. Consumer Reports was a good guess, though. Yeah, it's Good Housekeeping. Well done, you guys. Yeah, Good House. Next one. Uh-oh. That's not good. I lost my page. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is not good at all. What happened to me? Yikes. Hold on. Now I have to find my thing. Well, you know what? It might actually be a good thing because perhaps you didn't like that topic anyway. So that's okay. She was 8 years old when her daddy named his new line of cheesecakes after her. Nobody doesn't like her. What's her name? Think cheesecake. Nobody doesn't like. That's right. Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Absolutely. Next one. See if I can not lose my place this time. I'll put a piece of paper in. Okay. Even her 1-800-266-5437 number spells her story. What's the name of this married lady who opened her first bakery in 1977 and then had a nationwide chain? The topic of this is called Ladies in the Kitchen. Yes, you are correct. Mrs. Fields, that is right. Next one. If that famous grandma-shaped plastic bottle of syrup came to life and reminded you she's so thick, so buttery, and still just as sweet, who would you be talking to? Not Aunt Jemima. Yes, Mrs. Butter, not Field, Butterworth. Mrs. Butterworth. John's got it. You'd be talking to Mrs. Butterworth. Wes has it as well. William. Mrs. Butterworth. Yeah. Okay, next one. What chewy little chocolate roll was named for the 5-year-old daughter of an Austrian immigrant, Leo Hirschfeld? The chewy little chocolate roll named for the 5-year-old daughter of an Austrian immigrant named Leo Hirschfeld. You would think, because this was my first thought too, Heather, that it was Little Debbie, but it wasn't. It is the Tootsie Roll. Ren has it. Viewfinder's got it. William got it. It is the Tootsie. The Tootsie Roll. The Tootsie Roll. Yep. Good job. I would have gotten that one wrong, so I'm impressed. True or false? Betty Crocker was a real person. True or false? Betty Crocker was a real person. My first cookbook was the Betty Crocker cookbook. Linda says true. Let me go back a little further. Mm. Oh, did Heather get something first? Good job. Good job. Um, Viewfinder says no. Ren says false. Deidre thinks it's true. The correct answer is no. She was not. She was invented in 1921 to sign the letters sent to consumers who participated in a gold medal flower promotion. So she was not real at all. She was a marketing enigma. Betty Crocker, not real. In 1889, this African American aunt wore a headscarf and was a spokesperson for a pancake mix. They gave her a modern look, and she sold frozen breakfast food for a time. And it doesn't say that in this book, but I believe she gone. They took her away because they thought it was racially insensitive. Yeah, it is Aunt Jemima. B.A. Ware got it too. It looks like most of you did get it. I'll go back a little bit. Trevor says Aunt Jemima. Jemima, Jemima, Jemima. Yeah, it was Aunt Jemima. I kind of liked her. Anne Page and Jane Parker, fictional homemakers, became the brand names on dozens of in-house products stocking the shelves of what gigantic supermarket chain? Anne Page and Jane Parker. Not in my region, so I didn't know this. Yeah, but you guys knew it. Uncle Jim, S.J. Lolis is A and P. We go back up a little bit. Uncle Jim said A and P as well. Heather had it as well. A and P. And it stood for the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. A and P. But the fictional characters, Anne Page and Jane Parker, became the brand names of that, or the icons of that. Another fictional Anne became the symbol of a huge flower company. What was the company's and Anne's name? A fictional Anne, the symbol of a huge flower company. Can you name the company and the last name of Anne? The fictional Anne? I don't see any answers. They make they also make, I'll give you a hint. They make little muffins in tins that you pop open the tin. Not gold medal. I'll give it to you. It's Pillsbury. Yeah, it's Pillsbury. I wouldn't have gotten it either, so don't feel bad. I guess Anne Pillsbury was the fictional Anne. Who knew? Pie Shops, a chain of the West Coast restaurants, including East Side Mario's and a line of frozen foods and salad dressings, all come from a company named after what talented lady? Pie Shops, a chain of West Coast restaurants, including East Side Mario's, and a line of frozen foods and salad dressings, all come from a company named after what talented lady? You got it. I think all I needed to say was pie, and you knew it was up. Marie Callender's. Deidre gets it. John gets it. Ren has it. Marie Callender. I'll take calendars. I'll take that because that's typo. I got that. I'll take the calendars. Marie Callender. Absolutely. Christopher Menlo Park in there. You guys are all getting it. Okay. Next one. What woman baked the first Pepperidge Farm breads, founded the company, and was its first public face in TV ads in the 1950s? What woman baked the first Pepperidge Farm breads, founded the company, and was its first public face in TV ads in the 1950s? I would have no idea who this lady is. But if you're a big fan of Pepperidge Farms, perhaps you know. Deidre has no idea, but B.A. Ware did. How in the world did you know that? Are you looking this up? Margaret Maggie Rudkin was her name. And she was the face of Pepperidge Farms when the whole Pepperidge Farms phenomenon began. So there you go. Who knew? Be aware knew. That's true. I would never have gotten it. All right. Back to magazines. What is the top what monthly general interest family magazine with a circulation of more than 10 million back in the early 2007 contained regular features like word power and that's outrageous? What do you think? Oops, I'm on the wrong page. It was. You got it. You guys are good. Heather got it. Reader's Digest. Valley Star got it. It was Reader's Digest. Nice. Oh, Chris from Menlo Park had it as well. Rev had it. Go back up. I had never heard of that name either, you guys. I'm impressed. Not Reader's Digest, but the Rudkin name. This one, these are about gambling, and then I know we're a little over time, but I'm gonna keep going for a bit. Name the casino, the first one to be established in Connecticut, that is also, at that time in 2007, the world's largest. A big old fat casino, the first to be established in Connecticut. What do you think? This topic is called Place Your Bets. VA Ware says, yeah, it's Foxwoods. That's correct. Which Las Vegas casino is contained within a 350-foot tall black glass pyramid? Which Las Vegas casino is contained within a 350-foot tall black glass pyramid? Heather says it was the Luxor, and Heather is right. It's the Luxor. Melody gets it as well. Woohoo! And Ren is on it. There you go. Sandy gets it. Deidre's never been to Vegas. Well, we have to fix that. We need to have a meetup, a party meetup in Vegas. Chris gets it. Oops. Linda gets it. Good job. Heather says, I friggin' love Vegas. Okay, next one. What gambling town touts itself as the biggest little city in the world? Biggest little city in the world. I used to go here with my grandfather to see Eddie Arnold in the summertime. It is Reno, the biggest little city in the world. Nice job. Deidre gets it. And Melody gets it. Hi, Melody. And Heather gets it. And Trevor's on it. Linda and Rev. Okay, that was a good one. Next one. Although located in the middle of the desert, which Las Vegas casino has a man-made 8-acre lake on its premises? Vegas casino with a man-made 8-acre lake. Very fancy. Heather's going to get it. A man-made 8-acre lake at this Vegas casino. You guys are on it. Chris, I think, is first to the party. The Bellagio is the correct answer. B.A. Ware has it. Trevor has it as well. And Rev. Heather does bring it in. It is the Bellagio. What is the only South Dakota town where slot machines and table games like poker and blackjack are legal? The only South Dakota town. I will say it's also the name of a show. So we should get this one, I think. Deadwood is correct. Ooh, Melody's first to the punch. Melody has Deadwood. And John... Oh, bye, Wes. I'll see you tonight. Thank you for the super sticker. You're awesome. Chris has Deadwood. B.A. Ware has Deadwood. John has Deadwood. You guys got it. Next one is on May 26th of 1978. What was the first casino to open its doors in Atlantic City, New Jersey? May of 1978, first casino to open its doors in Atlantic City. What was it called? Do we know? 1978, Atlantic City, New Jersey, first casino. Not really a very sexy name. It was called Resorts Atlantic City. VA Warehouse, and it was called Resorts. Yeah. It was not called Trump Towers. No, no, no. Next one. This Las Vegas casino boasts the highest observation tower, 1,149 feet in the United States. I've actually been here, and they have a ride up there as well. This one in Las Vegas has the highest observation tower, more than 1,000 feet. And yes, Trevor gets it. It is the Stratosphere. Heather gets it as well. The Stratosphere is right. It's kind of separated from the main part of the strip by a little ways. You have to walk down to the big chunk of all the other hotels, if I'm right. Stratosphere is correct. Chris says it's the Stratosphere. Trevor said I stayed there with my son for his 21st birthday. Fun. Nice. Okay. Las Vegas became a major destination after Benjamin Bugsy Siegel opened what hotel casino on the day after Christmas in 1946? Las Vegas became a major destination after Benjamin Bugsy Siegel opened what hotel casino on the day after Christmas in 1946? He opened the... I don't see it yet. You say the MGM Grand. Oh, Melody popping in. It was the Flamingo. She's right. It was the Flamingo. And that kicked off everything. I might have said the Sands too. Or the Tropicana. They're going to implode the Tropicana coming up. So it's going to be a goner. But no, it was the Flamingo. Melody, B.A. Ware, Heather, all going for it. In what state can you find 10 casinos in the town of Tunica? In what state can you find 10 casinos in the town of Tunica? Didn't know that was a big casino town. Not New York. Not Louisiana. Yes, Mississippi. B.A. Ware going for that. And that is the correct answer. Mississippi. That's right. Next one. Massachusetts' sole gambling establishment, Horizon's Edge, is which type of casino? Horizon's Edge in Massachusetts is which type of casino? Not an Indian casino. Good answer, though. Because you would think, what do you mean, what type of casino, right? Yeah. Not a card room. I think it's kind of a trick question. Cards only? Nope. When you lose money at? I'm going to give it to you. I think that's correct. The answer is a casino boat. Yeah, see, that was kind of a trick question, right? Okay, last one. Harrah's Cherokee Casino was at this time in 2007. That clinches it. I'm going to get a new book. Harrah's Cherokee Casino was the only gambling house in which eastern state? Put it in the slot. It's not Oklahoma. But it is not Florida. Yes, B.A. Ware says North Carolina. And that is correct. And that is Trivia Thursday. Yay! After party style. Well done. Walter had it as well. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of gambling trivia. I think next week I'm going back to presidential trivia. As a matter of fact, I was looking some up. And so I'll ask you before we end it, who was the first president to be born in the United States? Do you know who the first president to be born in the United States was? Anybody? Bueller? No, not Thomas Jefferson, not George Washington, not Polk, not Adams. The first president to be born in the United States was Martin Van Buren. The first 7 presidents were born before the United States gained independence, meaning they were British subjects. Martin Van Buren, the 8th president, was born in New York in 1782. So there you go. Martin Van Buren, the first U.S. president born on American soil. Well, we'll do more presidential trivia next week. Maybe you'll do a little political trivia as well. I like it. Yeah. Thank you for joining me for the After Party Live. I appreciate it. Definitely not Donald Trump. How did I click on that? No. Vice presidential trivia would be hard. It has to be easy enough for you to actually get the answer, because if I just ask you a bunch of questions that everyone's like, we can't answer it, then that would suck, right? So it has to be something that you might actually know. But I agree, because I was thinking of vice presidential trivia as well. I probably would do miserably on that. You know who would get all the answers right is John Rothman. Thank you so much to Wes for that $5 super sticker he threw down, and to Julie for the $5 super sticker, and really to everyone who contributes via the PayPal link and the super chats and super stickers. Thank you for keeping the show going. We have a lot coming up this afternoon, as mentioned. Live at 5. That's our next stop. We'll have some mocktails, some cocktails, whatever it is you partake in. We'll talk politics for about an hour and a half, and then we'll flip right over to the Mark Thompson Show meetup. So if you've contributed to that and you've got your seat, we'll participate. If you were participating and for whatever reason you didn't get a link or you have any trouble, please email me and I can fix it for you. KimMcAllister@gmail.com. I'll be paying attention to that, or Kim@theafterparty.live. I will be paying attention. So as in the past, if someone was supposed to get in and didn't, then hopefully I can smooth it out and fix it, because I would hate for you to have secured a seat for yourself and then for whatever reason not be able to come. Okay, that is the After Party Live. I'll see you at 5 o'clock right here on YouTube for the Nikki Maduro Show. And thank you again for being part of this Trivia Thursday with me. It's not over. I'll see you at 5 o'clock. For now, bye-bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Five o'clock, Ren. 5 today, it's 5 p.m.